I'm Jared Lintner, Bassmaster Elite Series Tackle Warehouse Pro. And what we're going to do in this week's vlog is do a season recap of the Elite Series this year. And basically, you know, I was really excited about the way it's going to start. You know, we're fishing here in California, my home state, and you know, in pre-practice for the Delta, I really felt good about it, and it just didn't turn out that well. But anyway, we're going to talk about the way that John Cruz ended up winning the tournament. Basically, what he found was some dead-end sloughs that had deeper hydrilla that come way out off the bank. And what he was doing on a lower tide as well as a high tide, he was basically running his new Little John crankbait in blood red over the tops of the hydrilla and really, you know, ticking the tops of it and getting reaction strikes. When that wasn't happening, he would slow down and basically just flip the hydrilla, flip the edges, flip the holes. He was using a penetration beaver and a BB cricket, you know, using a variety of sizes of weights, up to 3/4 ounce. Basically just getting that down in those holes on the edges of the hydrilla and hopping it. And those fish, you know, that were migrating to the back of the sloughs to spawn, they were in there and he was catching them. So my hat's off to him, you know. I mean, the Delta's a big area to fish, and he found the couple of right areas, and he prevailed. And like I said, in pre-practice, you know, I was on some swimbait fish and stuff, and in the actual practice for the event, I was getting a lot of good bites, fishing deeper tule berms with a Omega flipping jig with that blue sapphire trailer, and I wasn't getting a lot of bites, but I felt like if I did it enough, I would get enough bites to do really well. And in between that, I was just covering the water with this Jackall MC SR in the red craw pattern. And basically I was just running, you know, riprap, hydrilla, anything that I could just cover water. And I know several other guys that I let borrow some of these baits actually smoked me on it. So it was a really good fish catcher up there. And also, to get bigger bites, in practice I had a couple double-digit fish. I was just using a punch rig, and I was punching the old Vine Primrose. And this is a new color sample I got from Bub at Paycheck Baits. And, you know, just punching. You know, I mean, it was one of those things, you're not going to get that many bites that time of year. It was, you know, March, and the fish really weren't getting way back into stuff, but when you did get a bite, it was a big one. You know, on the second day of the event, I had to slow down, and I found an area where they were spawning. I just basically used a drop shot worm as well as a swim bait a little bit, and I was catching spawners. I mean, I found this area where they were bedding. I wish I was there the first day. But anyway, that's a little hopefully helpful hints on, you know, what they were using and what I was doing. Then we went to Clear Lake, which is absolutely my favorite lake of anywhere in the nation. And Byron Velvick, you know, he found the sweet spot. I mean, the same place he won the Open a few years back. And this time he was using a new swim bait made by Jerry Rago. And he was using the BV 3D 7-inch. And basically, you know, what he was fishing was, there was 3 canals coming out into this little bay, and all these fish were moving in there to spawn. And he was just taking his time, really going through the area, doubling back. I was fishing just down the way from him, and I seen him really working this area over. And one of his key things is he was using hot sauce and really applying it, because those fish were getting a lot of pressure by locals, by tournament fishermen, and it made a difference for him. And then for those short strikes, he was just using this Owner pre-rig stinger rig and attaching it through the main line onto the swivel right here. And, you know, he was catching a good percentage of his fish on that stinger hook. So that's what he was doing. You know, I mean, he did a great job. Everybody knew where he was going to fish, and he still went over there and whacked him. I was kind of along the same lines. I was throwing a 9-inch Osprey, and I was using a homemade stinger rig that I make here in my garage. And basically I was making just bomb casts, you know, into staging areas. And, you know, I had a really good tournament. I wish I would have did my rotation a little bit different. There was a couple other guys that were on the same kind of deal. And, but anyway, I got a top 10 out of it. I was throwing this as my main bait. And then also the swim bait I helped design, the Shaky fin shad, I was throwing this, and I was catching a few fish on it a day when I was fishing around the tules, because it's weedless and it's something they haven't seen a whole lot. So I was getting some bites on that and helped me get that top 10 finish. And when that kind of slowed down, it seemed like mid-morning the bite would kind of shut off for me from about 10 to 1, right in that range. I just basically had a couple little tooly areas, little berms and little channels where the fish were moving through. And I used the Tackle Warehouse exclusive Bisp color fat Roboworm. And basically I was just drop shotting, just kind of pitching it out there, 12-pound fluorocarbon. The fish didn't seem to mind because, I mean, they were in the feeding mode. But anyway, when I'd kind of get tired of throwing the swim baits, I could always go to this Bisp worm. I mean, it's a really cool worm in that it has kind of a white background on it. I don't know if you can see it there. I think what it does, it's kind of a natural crawl-looking worm or something on top, and then on the belly, it's kind of like a shad or you know, a type of bait fish. So it's really different than any other kind of worm. So it's a Tackle Warehouse exclusive Bisp worm. I know for sure it works at Clear Lake. But anyway, there's the first two. Check back next week for Smith Mountain Lake and Pickwick.